You diet down, strip away the body fat, and step into harsh lighting expecting to see a carved-out midsection. Instead, you're left with a perfectly flat stomach and zero definition. The fitness industry will tell you that abs are made in the kitchen. That saying is a half-truth, and following it blindly is exactly why you can get extremely lean and still look completely flat. We've been taught the same core routine since middle school gym class. You lie on your back, yank on your neck for 50 sit-ups, then flip over and hold a plank until your hips sag and your shoulders shake. That routine ignores a basic biological reality. Your six-pack is made of the exact same skeletal muscle tissue as your chest, your back, and your biceps. This chart compares a traditional muscle hypertrophy curve on the left, which uses low reps and high resistance to build tissue, against an endurance curve on the right, featuring high reps and zero resistance. If you want bigger biceps, you grab heavy dumbbells and lift them for 8 to 12 reps. But when we train our abs, we drop to the floor and crank out 100 bodyweight reps with zero resistance. Your core doesn't follow a different set of biological rules. Treating it like a high-rep endurance test fails to trigger hypertrophy. If the individual muscle blocks of your core don't physically grow, they will never push through your skin, no matter how low your body fat drops. This diagram shows a muscle fiber locked in a static isometric state. The standard plank is an isometric hold, meaning the abdominal muscles hold tension, but they never actually change length. Isometric holds are highly inefficient for triggering muscle growth. Imagine trying to build a bigger chest by unracking a heavy barbell, lowering it halfway, and just holding it there for 2 minutes. Your chest would burn, but it wouldn't grow. For that tissue to expand, it requires dynamic stretching and contracting under a heavy load. By minute 2 of a long plank, the core usually shuts off completely. The hips sag, the lower back arches, and the physical load shifts almost entirely away from the abs and directly into the shoulders and the spine. The biomechanical fix for this is the ab wheel rollout. Your core is literally designed for anti-extension, the physical act of resisting your spine's urge to bend backward under a load. The rollout takes the anti-extension demand of a basic plank and adds leverage. As gravity pulls your hips toward the floor, your abs have to fire aggressively to prevent your lower back from arching, all while moving through a full-range dynamic stretch. Static planks only build your tolerance for holding a plank longer. Dynamic anti-extension physically stretches and tears the tissue, which is the biological requirement for actually building abdominal mass. The abdominal muscles have one primary biological function: spinal flexion. That is the specific mechanical action of pulling your ribcage down toward your pelvis. This skeletal model tracks the kinetic chain of a standard sit-up. Notice that pure spinal flexion only occurs during the first 2 inches of movement. Then the abs disengage. From that point, a hip flexor called the psoas takes over, dragging the torso upward and grinding stress into your lumbar vertebrae. To truly isolate spinal flexion, you need the weighted cable crunch. By kneeling down on a cable machine and locking your hips in place, you completely remove the psoas from the equation. More importantly, using a cable machine allows you to apply progressive overload. When the movement gets easy, you simply pin a heavier weight, scaling the physical resistance upward as your core adapts. Replacing a hip-driven endurance movement with loaded, isolated flexion allows you to target the abdominal tissue with the same high-intensity resistance used to grow any other major muscle group. There is one more function of the human core that almost nobody trains directly, making it one of the most underrated movements in the gym: anti-rotation. You train this using the Pallof press. You stand sideways to a cable or resistance band set at chest height and press the handle straight out in front of you. The entire time, the band is constantly attempting to twist your torso back toward the anchor point. Your job is to resist that rotational force. To keep your body perfectly straight, your obliques and deep stabilizing muscles have to fire simultaneously. Focusing entirely on flexion and extension will build raw muscle, but neglecting anti-rotation leaves you with a core that might look strong, but lacks the stability to function effectively under real-world physical stress. Even with the right exercises, the fitness industry promotes one final programming error that undoes all of your progress: tacking a 10-minute ab circuit onto the end of every single workout, 7 days a week. We know that muscle tissue is damaged in the gym. The actual growth and hypertrophy only happen outside the gym, while the body is at rest. You wouldn't train your chest every single day, and your abs require that exact same downtime. Proper core programming means applying heavy, progressive mechanical tension. You take the exercises close to failure, and you only do it 2 to 3 times a week. On your off days, you leave the abdominal muscles completely alone. You eat your protein, and you allow the body time to repair and expand those specific muscle blocks. Developing a visible midsection requires the same conditions as any other muscle: heavy mechanical tension and progressive overload, and enough recovery time to grow.